Happy Monday, everybody. It's Monday. How's everyone's Monday going?
Good.
Good Monday for everybody. It's Monday for sure.
I can't believe it's Monday already.
I know. That weekend flew right by.
Woo! Monday's here again.
Man, it's Friday. We're recording our review of the Black Panther Wakanda Forever film. We saw it last night. Still recovering from the emotionalness of it.
Yeah.
Brian brought a box of Kleenex with him. He also had a handkerchief, and he used my sleeve. So Brian got very emotional during the movie. But
yeah,
we'll talk all about that. Brian has a little bit of news he's got to discuss. I guess he mentioned something about it. I don't know. He doesn't tell me anything. And more. So stay tuned for all that. Brian, I know we just recorded the show not so long ago, but how's your week been?
It's good, Mark. It's good. We just saw each other last night for Black Panther with our buddies. It was a good time. And
I don't know how you feel about this. I feel like when we decided that we were going to do this last week before the show.
Yeah.
On Monday, or this week, whatever it is. And last night after the movie, as you're walking out, you guys started talking about the film. And I was like, I got to walk away because we're going to do this tomorrow. So I don't want to use up all my good stuff now.
Well,
and then I ended up taking an escalator by accident because I thought you were going to the elevator, and I got separated and then had to walk around the whole parking lot to get to where you guys were, thinking you guys would walk to a location where I would be able to get to easily. But no, let's walk to the complete opposite side of the parking lot. So Mark has to walk the whole parking lot.
We followed Dan.
Make it weird.
We were walking to Dan's car. So
yeah,
I don't
just
know.
Make it weird. So,
Sorry. I don't know what's going on.
You feel even more awkward.
But you found us. It's not that big of a parking lot.
Well, no, but I was just I had him. There was a micro moment where I first got out of there's a bridge that goes over the entrance, and I was like, I could just go home right now.
But you didn't want to.
Just leave. Who cares?
We got out at 10-ish, which was a little bit
it was somewhat nice too, so it was not terrible.
Yeah, and I repeatedly said there is no thing after the credits, and nobody wanted to believe me.
Well, I knew that's what I was I went I had to go to the bathroom because it was a long movie, and I had a big bottle of water during the movie. So I was like, I gotta go to the bathroom. I gotta get out of here.
On Yahoo,
Barb was trying to talk to me, and I was like, I gotta go. I gotta get out of here.
Yeah, on Yahoo over the week, they asked the director Cooler about mid and post credit scenes. He said there's a mid credit scene, but we felt it was unnecessary. It would kind of ruin the moment. To add and I agree with that. Now I told you through chat, and then afterwards I said the same thing. There is no after credit scene, but Dan kept looking at his phone going, I read it was going to be the best after credit scene forever. And I'm like, but you're reading junk.
Yeah.
It's not real. And
to be quite honest with you, if I hadn't forgotten my coat on my chair, I would have been standing out in the hallway waiting for you idiots that whole time. Where are you people? Why are you?
I told them.
Literally at the bottom of the stairs, standing and staring at the credits.
Well, there was a lot of people still staring, but a majority of people left. They knew.
Yeah.
And I said repeatedly, there's nothing.
But it is Marvel, so people never sure. You never know what they're might sneak one in on you.
There could have been a surprise.
You don't want to be that guy that walked out and then have to be oh, I didn't see it in the theater because I walked out. I read online, there wasn't anything on there. Then Tony Stark walks back on the screen or something,
Yeah, that's not going to happen. But So I don't know where we're going for. Anyway, there's no post-credit scene. Big
Yes.
spoiler right there.
Yeah.
There's only a mid-credit scene. And I
Yes.
think it was appropriate for this movie. We didn't need like some jokey joke at the end.
We'll get into it. I have some issues with this, but we'll get into it.
Honestly, a lot of the newer Marvel movies, the after credit scenes have been meaningless.
Well, there has been as much of an intertwined world as there was in the other phases. This one,
Doctor Strange was meaningless.
Yeah, there's been more like, well, it wasn't meaningless. It was just only to that universe. It wasn't like
after credits. I'm talking, not post credits.
Yeah.
After credits was Bruce Campbell.
Yeah.
Making goofy faces.
Yeah.
It was meaningless.
Yeah.
I mean, saying it really hasn't done it. In the middle credit scenes have been good, but the post credit scenes have just been fluff.
Yeah.
So I didn't really. Well,
it even goes back to Avengers. The like post credit scene was just them eating shawarma. So it wasn't like it was like.
Well, we had the big team up, so there was no.
Yeah, but I mean, there wasn't any like big reveal or anything.
Right.
It comes and goes.
Let's get to the news today. Today, Mark.
Today.
The only reason I have Apple Plus, the only reason I give two shits about Apple Plus is Mythic Quest. It premiered today, Mark.
I have to re-up my Apple Plus TV Plus then.
We get 2 episodes today. And then it airs every Friday until January.
Oh. I'll wait till January.
I'm going to watch this week to week. I'm so psyched for it to be back.
That is like probably the one app that I am least into.
Well, yeah, me too. I never watch it.
Like I let it lapse. Like I just like when I think when we got the new Fire Sticks or something, I never re-uploaded it and just canceled it. And I was like, there's nothing on there I need to. Like there is, but there's nothing like I'm like motivated. There's enough other stuff that I don't need to like worry about.
Right.
I want to watch Foundation on there. I want to watch the last season of C's on there.
I'm definitely gonna watch. The other show with Adam Scott. I gotta watch.
Severance show.
People talk really highly of that. But Mythic Quest starts today. I know what I'm going to be watching this weekend.
There's only 2 of them, so you don't need to waste that much time on it. They're
2 episodes, and I got to watch the Weird Al movie
like an hour
as well.
So
super pumped that Mythic Quest is back. But anyway, that was my big news. Mythic Quest. I'm really excited.
Okay. But there was more news than that.
That's it. I mean, we got Black Panther to talk about.
Well, here, let me just, while we're talking about it, and we have some time.
What?
I'm trying to figure out how much money that made last night.
I don't think we're going to know. I think it's projection. I mean, almost every theater in West Springfield was Black Panther. And John made a good point. There's actually less seats in the theaters because we have the recliners, which
that one.
Every theater in that Cinemark or whatever, it's like that. So one chair probably takes up the space of like 1.5 chairs at a normal theater. But yeah, there's less seating. But man, it was packed. It was packed. We were leaving at 10 o'clock and people were coming in.
There's rumors it could clear 158 million just this weekend.
I believe it.
There's also talk that it could top 1 billion box office.
Yeah, I heard about that too as well. Yeah. Be interesting to see how it does through the rest of the month. And then, the next big Disney movie is Avatar 2, which I do have some news about Avatar, which I'll discuss while you're looking at the...
we saw the trailer for it last night, and I almost said out loud, I don't give 2 fucks.
Well, here's the thing. Last week on the podcast, I talked about how there's 4 movies in the making, and we're going to get them no matter what. Well, I was wrong. James Cameron was being interviewed, and he actually said which is interesting that he said this now. He basically said he did 2 and 3 back to back. So I was wrong. He didn't do all 5. He did 2 and 3. And he basically said that if by 3, if he feels the audience is done with this, with Avatar, he can have 3 end the trilogy.
Yeah.
But if 2 and 3 do very well, he will do 4 and 5. He will write them, but he will not be directing them. And that's interesting that he said that now, like leading up to the release of Avatar 2, it's been nothing but like, we got 4 of these coming out. I got, blah, 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 blah. You're going to shit your pants when you see this. And then all of a sudden, as we're getting closer, it's like, well, if people are kind of over it, maybe I'll just end it after because I already filmed them. It'll just end it. I bet we only get Avatar 2 and 3. I don't think Avatar 4 and 5 ever come out. That's my opinion. I don't know. Could be wrong, but
I mean,
I don't see
just off the trailer. I didn't see anything in there that was like making me want to rush out to see it.
Me neither. And I know we all live in a bubble.
And we also talked about the possibility of like how it would do against the original one, and like
how it's not going to do as good as original.
How it would fall into the list. But just going off last night, like we talked about earlier, of every theater basically having Black Panther in it. Not only did every theater have Black Panther in it at the theater we were at last night, but every one of those had a note next to it on like the marquee. I don't know if you saw it, limited seating in every single one of them, just about. And I talked to a guy afterwards. There were guys standing outside the theater afterwards, and I was waiting. At first I was going to wait for you guys, and I realized I'd forgotten my coat. But I was talking to the workers that were there, and I'm like, so is that like how do you guys think the movie's doing? Like what? And they're like, every one of our pre-sales are basically like 1 or 2 seats, 3 or 4 open seats for the night. It's like it's crazy. He's like, it's been a long time since we've seen a movie that's got this many people coming. So
yeah. Oh yeah. I mean, during the pandemic, it's been a while.
Yeah.
I mean, I think Spider-Man No Way Home was the last time,
Yeah, but even that, like, I don't remember it being a huge, like, we went to Enfield, so that's why it could be.
It was packed.
It was packed, but I don't know, like, what the bigger theaters like we went to were like. That was a biggest amount of people I remember seeing in the parking lot and walking around.
I mean, after No Way Home, I remember like the movie theater was packed. People, it was the same kind of like feel.
Yeah.
And No Way Home did buco bucks.
Yeah.
I think Black Panther will do the same. I think Avatar 2 will do good, but I don't think it's going to do as good as the first Avatar, obviously. And I kind of feel like in our bubble, nobody's that excited by it.
In our bubble is not the bubble that I think they're aiming for. You got to remember, our bubble is not as
well, I understand that, Mark.
It's not the bubble that many people are aiming for. Even there's a person sitting next to me at the theater when the trailer was, after the trailer ended, that was like, oh, I'm excited to see that. That's the audience they're aiming for.
Yeah, that's my brother.
Yes. Yeah, that's the people there.
But he wants to see everything.
Yeah. But like that, I mean, honestly, like, as you've seen this week with different results and things that have been going around, the Midwest people
love that
crowd.
They're big Avatar fans.
Yeah, they're the Avatar people. They love them some Avatar.
All right, let's talk about.
Take me away to another water movie.
Let's talk about Wakanda Forever. Let's
Fear of the blue people is what it is.
Yes.
As Dan said, I don't want to see any more blue people. I don't even like the Blue Man Group. Well, he said that as we were walking out of the theater. You guys went to the bathroom.
I heard.
He had to argue with his mother in the middle of the lobby of the theater as we were walking out. You've seen the Blue Man Group? He's like, no, I hate the Blue Man Group. I love the Blue Man Group. I can't wait. I would love to see the Blue Man Group.
All right.
I hate blue people. Like, so you don't watch the Smurfs either? You like, how are the Smurfs on here?
All right, let's review Wakanda Forever. Nobody knows who we're talking about. Our initial let's do our initial reaction before we get into spoiler territory, which we're gonna spoil. We're spoiling the movie, so I will go first. I'm gonna be very brief. My initial reaction, my initial leaving the theater was I had two things. I really enjoyed allowing the audience to grieve with the characters for Black Panther, T'Challa.
Yeah.
I really enjoyed that. I think it's something that isn't done very often, especially in these kinds of movies. And I think that was great. Also
hasn't happened much.
Well, Tony Stark died.
Well, I mean, like the actual actor passing away, other than just the character passing away.
We've had a few actors have passed away, and they just
like in the midst of the franchise, like being as popular as it was, and like his character in those. I'm just saying.
I know what you're saying, but I'm just saying we get to grieve the actor, including the character.
Yeah.
My big thing was, it made me feel like this was very reminiscent for me of post Endgame. This was kind of like early MCU feel, like, and I miss these characters. It's great to see them, and this is the kind of stuff I love when it comes to the MCU. It was nice. A serious movie, had moments of humor that were earned. It had levity. It had like good action and all, so it just reminiscent of old MCU. Because I think this phase has gone on long enough. This is the end of the phase. We're ending it. We're starting a new phase with Ant-Man, which I'm very excited for. But yeah, I mean, I really enjoyed this one. I really thought it was, it didn't have the funness of Black Panther 1, because this one was we're coming together.
Had some moments of that, but not as like.
Yeah, this was more of a somber one, because we're grieving. And so I get that. So I think Black Panther 3 can allow us to go back to that fun that we had in the first Black Panther. But anyway, that's my initial reaction. We'll get into it. Mark, what is your initial reaction? And then we'll get into spoiler territory.
It was an emotional movie. Like you said, it gave you like that grieving stuff that you had to do. I don't know. I think I'm gonna blow people's minds with some of these things I'm going to say today. I found it very meh.
Very meh.
The story was not great.
You didn't like this? Really? Interesting.
It just kind of like just plodded along. It didn't seem like there was, I don't know. There was like, and I mentioned to you at the beginning of the movie, which we'll get into when we get into the spoiler part of it, like a certain thing that really bothered me about the beginning of the movie.
Oh, well, that makes, it doesn't.
It does not. Now we'll get into it when we get into it, and I'll explain to you why I think it doesn't make sense. But besides that, it kind of seemed like they tried to make it seem like there was like something, like it was fairly obvious from the get-go who Black Panther was going to be. The new Black Panther.
We all knew it. We all knew.
And it seemed like they tried too hard to kind of act like there wasn't in it, like who would it end up being, or who was like what was going to happen with that. And I think that like took too much, like if you'd seen the trailer at all, you knew who it was.
Yeah.
So I don't know if it was the trailer that ruined it for me, or the movie's like trying to like make it seem like there was some other solution that bothered me.
Okay, interesting.
The villain didn't interest me. I didn't care about him. I didn't like.
I liked him. I liked Nomar.
I didn't say like I didn't like his story didn't resonate or didn't work for me. It like didn't really like come through.
Mm.
There didn't seem to be like any like reasoning other than just I want to keep things quiet.
Mm.
The weird like United Nations part intertwined into it
Mm.
didn't make any sense, like didn't seem to go with the movie itself. It
Well,
just kind of was like a very odd, there was like very odd parts of it, like having Val in there. It's like I understand why she's in there because they're trying to set up other things, but it's like
I didn't mind that, but
this story is about something else. It's not about this over here. It's like they kind of like pigeonholed that stuff into there, kind of like, well, we have to connect it to the bigger universe. We can't just focus on this one character story right now. So they kind of like pigeonholed that stuff into it, kind of for me. So I don't know. It was a good movie. It just, there was a lot of like weirdness to it for me that I was like, wait, why? Why are we doing this now? Why are we?
well, let's get into it. Let's get, because I actually, you make some good points that I want to elaborate on. All right, so we're gonna get to spoiler territory. Those
Gosh,
were initial reactions. If you want to stop and
why would you? Because you signed on knowing that we were going to do this.
we're
So
a half hour in, so you might as well
yeah,
continue.
yeah.
All right, so
You're
let's,
already here. You're already seen the movie, so
we're
stick
not going to
around.
break down the movie from head to toe here because
Yeah,
we just saw it and it's like we'll go through the points. We'll
yeah.
talk about the things you brought up, Mark, because I think you bring out some interesting things. Even though I might not agree with you, I do understand what you're saying. And there was what did you say?
The very first thing at the beginning of the movie, before
Oh
the
yeah, let's talk
movie
about the
actually
beginning of the movie.
starts,
Yeah, yeah.
they do the whole uh T'Challa is
Funeral.
sick.
Oh, he's sick. Yeah.
He's sick. That's the beginning of the movie. He's sick. They try to figure out, Suri's trying to figure out how to cure him.
Yeah.
There's an issue with she's trying to recreate the flower that gives him the Black Panther powers. So if he could take that again, it would cure him from the whatever he has. You never see him, of course, because he's not here anymore.
Yeah.
Then he dies.
Yeah.
The opening sequence goes, which was very nice. That was very well done. That whole Marvel
MCU.
intro
Yeah.
thing was all just T'Challa, which we've seen before, I believe. I think they released that on another something. I remember seeing that before.
I don't know. Maybe What If?
I think so. Maybe it was the What If one where they did that. Yeah, the What If Black Panther story. That's right.
Yeah.
Maybe that's what it was. But anyways, so then we go into the beginning of the movie. It's his funeral. I brought up to Bryan instantly, my first thought, why is no one else here? Of
I
all the things that could have happened, you just talked about it before when you were talking about the grieving thing and Tony Stark's funeral.
Yeah.
Everybody was there, even Black Panther.
Yeah.
Nobody decided to go to his funeral. Not even Winter Soldier, who only has his arm because of Wakanda.
I mean, you make a
And he
good
is
point.
called the White Wolf now.
I think out of everybody, Winter Soldier would have been the one person that should have been there.
That's what I'm saying. At least a couple of people.
But
Like
I'll play
Sam,
devil's advocate.
like Sam and Winter Soldier were the two people I first thought was, why aren't they there?
Right. Well, let me play devil's advocate though. Is he got sick and maybe so happened so quickly that they had no time to contact anybody. Maybe nobody even knew he died until the Queen went to the United Nations and told our king has died. Nobody knew.
No, I think that because they wouldn't. Why would she would have gone to United Nations as queen, as the queen and ruler of Wakanda?
Well, she's the queen.
I know, but she would have been the queen until after he passed away. He'd been the queen. She'd been the queen mother.
Yeah, but
which they called her, which Nakia called her later on in the movie. if she wasn't queen, she would have just been queen mother because she was the whole royalty thing. But anyways,
I understand, but she announced his death.
I think that I think people would have known. Someone would have told. The Avengers would have found out somehow. They would have known.
I mean,
Ross knew.
I agree that two of them should have been there, but at the same time,
I mean, how like it wouldn't have been that it wouldn't even thrown off the story if you just saw like as they were doing the processional thing.
yeah.
If it was just Sam and Winter Soldier there, or even like a call-in thing, like, hey, we heard about T'Challa,
Right.
you need anything, let me know. Like the only person outside of Wakanda that they talked to about T'Challa dying was Martin Freeman's character, an ancillary side character. Is the only person
Who
from
didn't
the
really do
bigger
much.
universe.
Who didn't really do much.
Yeah, the only person outside the Wakanda universe that dealt with T'Challa's death.
Yeah.
That was my only, like, that was the first thing that was kind of like, I don't know.
I kind of feel like you could have cut his character out, his little side story.
You could have that whole side story out. That's what I'm saying. They pigeonholed that into this to make it connect to the bigger Marvel story.
I mean, at this
like they kind of like wedged it in there to kind of like make it make sense.
Well, we're getting
like
more.
Why would like the whole thing with the French going after the vibranium?
Well, that was to prove that other countries.
I understand that, but it was like, why? It's very weirdly wedged into there to kind of be like the other countries are bad now, and Wakanda's going to have to fight the other countries.
I mean,
the whole other story with the Atlanteans or whatever they're called now, the Tolokans, whatever it is.
They're Atlanteans, basically.
Yeah, they're Atlanteans. But it was like a very.
It's just showing.
It was very much pigeonholed to me. It kind of like was wedged into the story to make it make sense. It's like we need like bad people to fight like the Wakandans to have to deal with in the future.
Well, that made sense though, because the whole thing was United States didn't know about the Atlanteans, we'll call them, and so they're going to blame Wakanda, and Wakanda's like, no, it's not us. We didn't do this.
But like the French, like at the United Nations, and they know that she's coming to the United Nations. Why would you send people to break into their place that same time frame?
That
just seems like
a lot
of bad planning in this movie.
That's good planning, because if your king or queen is at the United Nations and maybe they're not like thinking they're going to be attacked now.
That seems like a lot of
but did you see what happened there? But did you see what happened? The French did that to Wakanda, and at the end of the movie, that's what Wakanda did to the Atlanteans. She was talking to Nomar on the beach.
Yeah.
Same time.
Like at the same
time, what's her name went in and
a lot of like, I don't know. It was
the same plan.
That whole part of the movie seemed like to me like it didn't need to be in it. Like it seemed like a lot of forced stuff, like the FBI showing up for Riri Williams out of nowhere for some reason.
Well,
that like made no sense. Like, why are the cops there? Because it's like, I don't.
Because let's put a pin in that, because I want to go back to what you said before. You talked about Pope. I had it. So the cops are after her.
Okoye and Siri.
Yeah.
I mean, the only thing like they like say is like, oh, because she's but she didn't know that she created the vibranium finder. Okay,
I will say the one part that bothered me was he kept saying, I have to kill the scientist.
Yeah.
Then he was just like, it's not about the scientist.
Yeah.
But then I'm like,
that was the stuff that was like bothering me. It was like, so that was the logic to the whole thing that really like started to lose it for me.
It didn't make any sense.
First thing was, I'm going to kill the scientist. They already invented the vibranium finder. Killing the scientist isn't going to solve. They could just make another vibranium finder.
And it's a kid.
Well, he didn't know that.
But then he was still like,
Well, because he never got told, like, she just invented some random thing in MIT or wherever she was,
and then someone used
and
it.
and her professor stole it. Like, very much. It was like for the first thing I thought of, I'm like, oh my god, they stole the plot line from Real Genius, the Val Kilmer movie, where he invents a laser, and then the professor sells it to the government to use it as like a weapon of mass destruction thing.
Hmm.
I'm like, so they stole that tiny little plot line from Real Genius and put it into Black Panther. Like, the student invents something, and the teacher's like, "Oh, that's impossible to make." But
Right.
cool beans, you figured out how to do something that could never be used in real life stuff. And then the professor takes it, invents the vibranium finder,
Yeah.
uses it, gets killed in a helicopter. Because I think that professor was Lake Bell, because she was the one that supposedly like invented the vibranium finder.
Yeah.
So she gets killed in the ocean by the Namor's guys. I don't know. It seemed like a lot of like a jump to conclusion board.
I mean, I wouldn't go that far, but yeah, I mean, it was a weak plot.
Yes.
I did like no
Him
more.
being angry at a scientist, and that's the reason why he's going to destroy the planet or the surface after all this time. Someone finding vibranium, which they're blaming on the Wakandans.
Yeah.
And no one even thinking about the Atlanteans.
And the funny thing is, he has vibranium on him.
So my first thing when they did the vibranium thing at the very beginning, when they attack the scuba divers, it's like they're finding the vibranium, so they're just going to dig around there for the vibranium. Just stay away from there. If you're the Atlanteans, just don't go near them, and they won't know you're there.
Right.
Like, no one's going to actually find you if you're looking for vibranium.
Yeah, and if you've been hiding this long,
if you're hiding this long, why are you going to come out all of a sudden now and be like, "Oh, we got to kill the Wakandans because they let people find out about vibranium"? What? You're a terrible leader. How is everyone thinking it's okay for, like, and he took her and he, like, it made no sense. It's like all this stuff's been going on in the universe and no one knows about the Atlanteans. They've just been hiding out for all this time, and now all of a sudden, because somebody found vibranium in the ocean, that's going to be the thing that brings them out to fight people.
Well, he also wants to burn the earth. He thinks he is the king. He can be king of the planet, is what he wants.
He doesn't say that, though. He doesn't act like that. His thing was he just doesn't like surface dwellers because they initially were surface dwellers.
Yes.
And they had to leave because of smallpox, which was hundreds of years ago. They decided they had to go into the ocean and live in the ocean because they took this thing that made them go into the ocean.
Well, they couldn't breathe.
Yeah. And he was a mutant because the stuff they took turned him into a mutant.
Well, he was born.
He was born with the stuff in him, so he was a mutant. Yeah. But everyone else in the tribe is not mutants. So when his mom died, he went to bury his mom, but hundreds of years had passed or whatever. And it had now been turned into a slave plantation.
And they just burned it to the ground.
Decided just to kill everybody because it was a plantation.
Yeah.
And then just buried his mom in the backyard.
Yeah.
It's like a lot of like, oh, okay. Yeah, sure.
I mean, I will say this. I liked him as
I understand the reasoning why, like, it's slavery's bad. Yes, absolutely. Totally agree with that. How would a kid who had never seen anything but the ocean see what was going on in the screen at the time in front of him? Why would that all of a sudden make him like snap and want to kill people and wanted to take over the surface?
Mark, you're overthinking it.
But there was a lot of that kind of stuff in the movie, though. There was a lot of that, like, just because I'm mad now, just because.
Yes, yes.
It's like, well, no, you have to have a reason why you're aggravated or why you're mad.
Because of the scientists, Mark.
It's been hundreds of years. What did you think was going to happen? They were just going to leave the village sitting there?
Mark.
You're just going to walk back and there's going to be the village just sitting there and nothing going on? It was very...
The scientists. He wanted to kill a scientist that would...
Yeah, that invented a machine that she's the reason that everything's gone wrong.
Yes, from MIT.
From MIT.
Yeah.
Who miraculously has figured out how to invent another Stark suit.
Well, actually, Siri made it.
Well, no, she made the initial one.
Which was just like an ectoskeleton.
Well, no, but even after that, when they were in Wakanda, she made her the first suit when they were in the battle was the one she made.
Well, she had help though.
Yeah.
She didn't make it by herself.
No, but I mean, she had
has to stay here. It can't.
I mean, she was cutting the iron and everything, and cut a heart out and everything to.
Yeah. Well, let's move on.
God forbid Marvel gives you like an actual reasoning on or what the reasoning behind the name is. We're just gonna have her cut out a heart of metal and drop that on the ground. So it has nothing to do with the uniform whatsoever. But
what do you mean?
They did the scene with her cutting the metal.
Yeah.
Which is definitely not metal she used to make the robot exoskeleton. It was just a very odd.
They had some scenes in the trailer that weren't in the movie.
No, but that scene was in the movie where she cuts the heart out and it falls on the ground.
Yeah, but
she welds it out very like roughly. It was a very rough cut.
But
you have all this technology in Wakanda and you're going to use a MIG welder to cut that out. That made no sense.
All right. You're just going on and on. All right, let's stop.
There's a lot of things in this movie.
All right. Let's put a pin on the ranting. All right.
I'm not ranting. I'm talking about the movie.
I will say, what I've been trying to say is, Nomar. I like the actor.
Namor.
I like Namor. I like the character. I'm
Nomar Garcia Power. That's what I thought.
I'm glad they didn't kill him off.
I wish they had.
I want to see if we see him again.
Well, he's gonna reappear because they did the whole thing at the end where the girl comes in. And he's like, why did you kneel? And he's like, I didn't kneel. I created an ally. So now if they need anything, they're gonna come to us because everyone thinks it's Wakanda that did all that.
Yeah.
But
the
other thing that
on his himself though.
The other thing that I have issues with.
Oh my God.
The bridge scene.
Let me finish my thought before we move on to a whole other thing.
Okay.
All right. Let's focus.
Okay.
What I'm trying to say is, in the middle of the movie, his whole thing was, I need an ally, and he's trying to persuade Shiri to become Wakanda to become allies with them, and he's like, no one. If you tell anybody, I'm killing her. I will destroy you. But why don't we join forces and we can take over the world? And because you're a powerful nation on land, I'm a powerful nation on sea. We got this. She's like, no, that's not the way. And I liked her story arc of having that conflict of, I'm so pissed about my brother dying. Do I get persuaded by this guy? Do I let?
They did a lot of that. They did a lot of her getting persuaded.
Well, she's learning that this is her
persuaded by things.
Stepping in these shoes. She always was the sidekick. Now he did
the James Bond. Namor did the James Bond villain thing too, which I wasn't a fan of.
I don't know what you're talking about.
Here's why I'm going to do what I did. Here's everything. Here's my plan. Here's my whole plan. And by the way, let me take you on a tour of my homeland and show you everything that's going on, so you can see everything. I hate to break it
to you, they do that in almost all movies.
I was like, oh, come on.
All right, so at the end of the movie, he got his way. His way was, I wanted them to be us to be allies because we can lean on each other. And then at the end, he's like, she saw like, if I kill you, it's not going to change anything. This is ridiculous. We need to have peace.
Yeah.
And I need peace because for my sanity. And he sees it like, I got my way. I didn't need, like you said, I now we're allies and now I can use them. He's not thinking good. He's thinking, well, if anything goes south, I'm gonna lean on them and make them feel bad because
it's very, I don't know.
I didn't mind that. I didn't mind that at all. I like that.
I'm also kind of like, now they're relying too much on the technology stuff. Like everyone, like Armor Wars now makes total sense why it's happening because everyone has armor. Ironheart has armor.
Are you new?
Midnight Angel has armor. What?
Are you new to the MCU or something? I mean,
no, but I'm just saying it kind of like in the background of everything, they were setting up Armor Wars. It's like you could tell that like they were like, it makes sense now why Armor Wars is now becoming a movie and no longer a show.
Well, I don't know if Ironheart's in that. I know she's getting her own show though.
Oh yeah, she's gonna be in that. Yeah, she'll be in it. Midnight Angel will be in it. The other girl who had the armor is gonna be in it.
Let's pin right here. I'm gonna say something about these armor. I would say Ironheart's armor and what's her name's armor were very
Midnight Angel.
Midnight Angels they were both not that great looking.
No, they're not.
I didn't really like their armor.
They don't have the style that Tony Stark has.
Angel Heart was very like anime looking. It was very bubbly.
Ironheart. Yeah.
Ironheart. It was very like bubbly.
Well, I think they kind of were leading into that she's 19, and that would be the kind of stuff she would design. Very Gundam-esque.
Yeah, it was very Gundam-esque.
Yeah.
It wasn't my favorite.
It definitely you could definitely see a lot more of that influence in it.
But honestly, it was nice to see someone in a suit. It brought back the Tony Stark feel. I like that.
Yeah.
Even though I didn't like the look, I enjoyed having that back on the big screen.
Yeah.
All right. Let's go back to what you were talking about now. You said something about the bridge scene. What are your qualms?
The bridge scene. Again, it goes back into why is the FBI? I understand why the FBI was going after them when they found Riri, because I'm assuming the government would figure out the same thing that Namor was. We should probably keep an eye on the scientist.
What's her name? Tag. Let's put in this. Julia Dreyfus's character had basically bugged what's his name, Morgan Freeman's phone. He knew everything was. She knew everything.
But that was after.
Well, we found out, but anything.
She did that on the bridge. She hadn't done that beforehand.
Oh, she bugged that happened
before he got on the bridge. She had already put the bug inside the beads, so that's why she knew all the other stuff after that.
Right.
But before that,
yeah,
the government, of course, knows Riri Williams invented the vibranium finder.
Yeah. Well, they want it.
Makes sense. They would be tracking her or keeping an eye on her, and then all of a sudden, Wakandans show up for her.
Yeah.
So then they chase them onto the bridge. But it was just like local police. It wasn't like the FBI. But there was FBI at the warehouse. Then all of a sudden it was Boston police chasing him for some reason.
Well, there was both.
It was a lot. It was a lot of stuff going on.
They showed a lot of cops.
They get to the bridge. The Atlanteans show up.
That was a good fight scene. I like that.
Which was a good fight scene. But my first thought was, you'd ask them to go find the person and bring the person to that you. Why would you then send people to go attack those people to take said person?
What do you mean?
Namor had said to Siri and the Queen, when they were on the little waterway there, which was just seemed like a water hole in the middle of the desert, in the middle of the like Africa somewhere, which usually don't have tributaries that lead to them, which is a whole nother thing which I had to deal with in my head. Like, was he waiting in there this whole time hoping they would set up right there, How would he know they're there? It's a whole nother thing. Another thing I had to deal with in my head. I was fighting in my head.
Well, Wakanda has water, has like lakes. They were near.
Yeah, but where they were, and they were off in they were off on in the middle of the jungle, or not the jungle, but like this is whatever they call that. I can't think of the name.
They were still in Wakanda though.
But where you do safaris.
Yeah, but they were still in Wakanda. They're in Wakanda.
Yeah, they're in Wakanda. I understand that, but the watering hole didn't like. It just seemed like a watering hole. It didn't seem like there was like a tributary leading to it. Like, how do you get into it?
Yes.
And like, how do they like? If you have these things that block people from coming in, why would you not have built that into the water?
Maybe
that was my other thing.
Maybe they never thought about that.
So if you're in a submarine or something like that, and someone was trying to sneak in, so that's basically saying if you want to break into Wakanda in the future, go by water and just go underneath them, and you could just like go underneath the thing and get into Wakanda.
Well, fish. I'm assuming fish come into there, so he is a fish.
Yeah, we figured out some kind of something. I don't know. It's like a lot of you have to just go with it stuff in this that got me kind of annoyed.
It's a lot of
like, how would he know they were out in the middle of the
he has good hearing
thing, just sitting out there, and how do you get into the water without them knowing? Is that little pond have a tributary that leads to it somehow?
It must.
He's just been waiting in the water this whole time for them to appear, and like sat there during their whole conversation, and then all of a sudden decided to jump out of the water or come out of the water. A lot of whatever. But
you're overthinking.
Yeah, it was just a lot of that. The movie gave, like, you had to, like, I don't know. It seemed like there was a lot of holes in things.
I mean, none of that stuff bothered me, but
it wasn't the best Marvel movie. I'll say that.
Really? I mean, I thought it was really good.
It was good, but it wasn't. There's a lot of stuff that was kind of like, I still can't, like. We found out that Val runs the CIA, which was the thing that was just like, oh, okay, she's actually in charge of government stuff. Like, I thought she just was like a person in the government that was building this team.
Well, she is building the team.
Yeah, but I mean, in Winter Soldier, I don't think that was ever meant, like, in the TV show.
We didn't have.
I don't think that was ever mentioned that she was the head of the CIA.
Well, it explains how she knows everything.
But I know, but I was kind of like, that's like kind of like a thing that was a big, oh,
and we
should know more about that. That was like, that's like,
she used to be married.
Yes, that was another thing. It was like, oh, okay. I was like, you're dropping a lot of information that, like, is important information that I feel like is being just kind of just brushed through at this point, and not
I mean, it was nice. It was nice world building here in these little tidbits. I like to see those two on screen.
Yeah. So that's all that CIA stuff and all that seemed very just kind of like wedged into there to kind of be like, we're setting up that the world's going to be going after Wakanda in the next movie. So we have to set this stuff up now, so that way it makes sense when you see it next time.
Well, I mean, I'm fine with that. It didn't bother me.
It was good to see Schiff, though, the United States rep at the United Nations from West Wing.
I've never seen West Wing, so.
No, what's wrong with you?
It's on my list.
Yeah.
But let's okay, all right. Let's.
And you know what the thing that really bothers me?
Oh my God!
No,
everything really bothers you. Let's talk about some good things.
No, this is the last thing.
Oh,
I think the whole thing with me is I'm not a fan of Shuri.
I have a theory. I like her, and I think it was. I think her story was the most compelling part of the whole movie. I liked her. I liked the human side of this movie when it comes to her dealing with everything, and the fact that her technology let her down and couldn't save her brother, and she struggled.
I don't think I think that they didn't. For me, it didn't seem like they like went into that enough. Like they had it as a background thing that she was dealing with, but I don't think
Yeah,
it was like delved into enough. It was kind of
I
like just
mean,
like
it's a
there in the
movie.
background.
It's long enough. I don't think we need.
But
I
I think
mean,
they could have delved into that more of her having to deal with that. Could seem
yeah,
like everyone was
could
kind of
be.
like, you need to just like this is how you need to grieve and this is how you need to do,
Well,
but nothing, and no one ever like she never had the chance to be like my technology that I used. Like when Tony Stark had that in I think it was Iron Man 3, where he had like the like his confidence was shot
yeah,
and he had the like he crashed the suit
yeah,
and his suit was destroyed and he had to
yeah,
make a new suit from scratch.
yeah.
I think if they had done it in that, like not in that exact way, of course, but if they had done something like her technology let her down, she couldn't save T'Challa. So she decides to pull away from the technology and not deal with it, and not work on stuff or not do any more technology stuff because she's like her confidence is shot, kind of, so to speak. It just seemed like they kind of were just like, nope, she's just going to keep making things. And
Well, she was burying herself in her work because she was ignoring what was
yeah,
going.
it just was, I don't know.
But I liked her story arc, and I think for me, I enjoyed the fact that like everybody was telling her what they would do, what she
Yeah.
would do, but by the end of the movie, she did what she wanted to do, and I like that. And it was at the end, she finally could burn the clothing and let him go and be at peace.
Not let him go, but at least like come
Yeah.
to terms with his loss.
Yes, that's what I mean.
Yeah.
So also my theory post middle credit scene, my theory is we get to find out that T'Challa has a son,
Yes.
and
His name T'Challa.
yeah,
How convenient. How convenient.
I'm wondering if this gives an out to her. I kind of, my opinion only was I felt that she was like relieved that
Doesn't have to be the Black Panther anymore.
she took on the mantle of Black Panther because that's what was needed.
Yeah.
But now she's a little relieved that maybe she
Well,
doesn't need to
she
do
has
that.
an out, kind of, so to
Yes.
speak. Not like a total out, but she has a way of being like,
Right.
I can back off and let someone else be Black Panther, and I can
Because he's technically the king.
yeah, I can
If
still do my thing. We
yeah,
had the whole thing where M'Baku was like, "Who challenges me to the
yeah,
throne?"
yeah.
And then they cut to the scene where she's on the beach, and it's like, "Oh, that's who's going to challenge him for the throne because he's the legitimate heir."
Yeah.
Gets very Game of Thronesy.
I like that. I
I
like
was
the
like,
fact
"Oh,
that,
okay."
and I think when Coogler had said people don't get it yet, when they
Yeah,
were like, who's going to be the new Black Panther? I think that's what he was talking about. I think he's talking about
the kid.
the kid.
But
Yeah.
that also the thing with that is that means that kid you're gonna have to wait like 10 years possibly
Mark,
or so
we don't know that.
until he's Black Panther aged.
He could be a teenager.
As a, but no, that kid was not. I think he's probably about
Oh, he's like 8 or not. He's like 7 or 8 years
maybe
old.
10, 11, 12 maybe. Around that area, 10, 12 in that range. So possibly another 4 to 6 years. He'll be ready or that age to be black, but even still, that seems still.
Well, anyway, time, they can fast forward time. They can go ahead in time.
Yeah.
I just, for me, I think this is what Coogler was talking about. I think this was a seed planted that potentially he could be the next Black Panther, and she doesn't have to have the weight of being Queen, Black Panther.
Well, she's not going to be queen because she gave up the throne.
Yes, I know. And now she doesn't have to have the burden of being Black Panther if she doesn't want to.
She could just go back to being a side character.
Yeah. So for me, I liked her story arc. I enjoyed all that. I enjoyed seeing all these
I mean,
characters.
you got to remember, and like their thing, which I'm just thinking in my head now, is we got to remember too, like this is all a bunch of side characters that were forced to become main characters.
Yeah, it's
because of what happened.
basically The Office after Michael Scott left.
I don't know that bad, but it wasn't that bad.
I mean, I'm just saying, I'm not comparing quality. I'm just saying when you have such a charismatic leader and you had such a
It's
star.
like they could have focused more on the power vacuum. That's my thing. I feel like they could have like went about the who was going to be the next Black Panther thing more. Like M'Baku. Why not make him a possibility? Like there could have been more people that were like trying to take up that mantle. Instead, it was kind of like it was just everyone kind of just assumed like Suri's going to be the next Black Panther because she's the next in line, so to speak.
Well, I think that's how it goes.
Yeah,
because the original movie gave us how
but I think it was just kind of like it was just very.
His dad was Black Panther, then he became
his grandfather, and
right. So I think his son is now going to be the new Black Panther, and I think he was just in the interim. That's all.
Yeah.
So I think that's where people are getting lost. I think that's what it is. I think that's who we're going to see in the future.
No, yeah, exactly. Yeah.
It makes the most sense.
Yeah. I also think that as we go through these next batch of movies, like I don't know of a place where we need to see any of those characters again.
Not for a while.
Yeah.
I mean, we're not going to see any of the Wakandan. We saw some of them in.
Well, I'm assuming in Ironheart we'll see some of these characters.
We saw some of them in Falcon and Winter Soldier.
Yeah, I mean, they probably reappear in Armor Wars.
Yeah.
But I don't know. It just wasn't like, I don't know. I didn't get the same feeling like I got from Spider-Man and other Marvel movies.
Well, this is very different, though. This is very somber.
Well, not just that. Like, there wasn't like I don't know. It was just a weird, and it could just be my life experience affecting all this too. So,
well, we all have different opinions, Mark. I didn't like.
No, like I definitely like thought about it ahead of time going into it. Like stuff I've gone through in this past year, I was like, it's gonna affect my feelings on this movie because I've been going through the same kind of stuff.
Yeah,
like not like I'm not Black Panther or anything, but loss and dealing with loss and all that, and like seeing it on screen.
Yeah,
it was like with Clerks 3, same kind of thing. It was like my life correlated to these things, and it like
totally.
Like my biggest, not one of my biggest things, but like another like a thing that losing her brother affected her a lot, and it makes sense. But it didn't seem like there was the same, like the feelings weren't the same that her mom was feeling. And she didn't like in understanding that from her side, like her mom lost not only her husband, but her son. But for Suri, she's like really distraught about her brother dying, but didn't seem to also correlate that into her father passing at the same time.
I think it's because her father died so long ago.
Yeah. And it just seemed like there was a lot of
close to her and her brother.
I know, but it was just there was a lot of and the whole Killmonger stuff. And I don't know if that like it was cool to see him, and it made sense because who else were you going to have her see?
Yeah,
I was hoping they weren't going to do they said beforehand they weren't going to like superimpose him into the movie.
Yeah,
T'Challa. They weren't going to put Chadwick into the movie in any way and have like voiceover stuff or anything.
Yeah.
Like that would have been bad taste, I think. And just would have been too much. I don't think people would have liked it.
Well, Killmonger makes sense because
because she's searching for revenge.
Yes, exactly. Yeah. So of course she's going to see the revenge, and that's the feeding of the revenge is him. And they're all related.
Then she chooses his uniform to wear.
Right.
So.
What was I going to say? Oh, and yes, you did. Spoiler: Annette Bening's character, the Queen, does die.
Angela
Um,
Bassett,
what did I say?
Annette Bening.
Annette Bening. What is that? Annette Bening? What is she in?
This is like Dick Tracy's wife.
Annette
Warren
Bening.
Beatty's wife was in this movie.
Um,
She's not even close to being in this movie.
my God, why did I have Annette Bening in my mind?
That was a weird random pull.
This is weird. I'm tired, I guess. I don't know.
Angela Bassett, Annette
Angela
Bening,
Bassett.
very close in acting styles.
She was the standout. She gave it all.
Oh yeah, no, she was really good.
Yeah.
Like I said, all the acting was good. I didn't dislike the movie. It's just there was a lot of more plot holes than this one than other Marvel movies for me.
Okay. I mean, I get what you're saying. It didn't bother me as much, but I get what you're saying.
Yeah. Not even plot holes, just like things that just like irked me. Like, why would no Avenger want to go to Black Panther's funeral?
I mean, I think we hit the nail on the head on that one already by saying it should, if anybody, it should have been Bucky Barnes and
It should have been it should have been White Wolf and Captain America should have shown up at the very least.
Yeah, I agree.
They're the two that have the most connection to Wakanda that are left. Especially Winter Soldier's character, of all people.
Of all people, yeah.
Because he wouldn't have an arm without Wakanda. And they showed up in his show. And you definitely see like there was still a deep connection there.
Yeah, I agree.
It seemed like a missed opportunity.
Yeah, it kind of was.
I mean, I know that they like it was a Black Panther centric movie and they were trying to like stick with that. But if they had just had some kind of thing where Shuri talks to them or one of those guys about what's going on, and there was that kind of scene, like they like on a phone call or something, and, you know, or Angela Bassett's characters like talks to them or something, and
or
we'll keep an eye out on her. We'll keep an eye out. We'll keep an
right,
or something.
Yeah, I hear you. I agree with you there. All right, let's give it our rating. You want to go first? Or want me to go first?
I'll go first because you're probably not gonna like what I say, so you can refute it.
Here, I'll tell you something, Mark. If it's your opinion on something, I'm not going to argue with you.
No, not argue with you, but just so that way you can wax poetic for longer than I'm gonna say.
I'm getting old now. People have opinions about things that I have different opinions. I don't really care anymore.
No, I know. That's the whole point of the show, Brian. But anyways, like I said, I didn't dislike the movie. I didn't hate it. It just wasn't as good as I think it could have been for me. So I'm going to give it an 8, which for me is low on the Marvel scale. So,
but 8's not bad. 8's not bad at all.
No, but I'm saying for Marvel movies, I usually keep them in that, like, they're usually higher. Like when I get out of a Marvel movie, I feel like
I think
wow.
You gave Doctor Strange 2 an 8. I think, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah, because I wasn't a big fan of that either. I feel like there was a lot of stuff in that needed work.
I mean, that was one of my favorites of the year for Marvel movies.
No, I don't think I gave. We should probably keep track of these one of these days, or try to keep track of them so we can.
I can go back.
Scale.
I can go back.
You have an actual scale that I can reference. So, but I think, like I said, I was into the movie. I got emotional during the emotional parts.
Yeah.
I think I was expecting it to be more emotional for me, and it wasn't. Which I think also kind of like I went into it like kind of like hesitant.
I got teary-eyed at the end. I got teary-eyed.
Yeah. No, and I was like saying, like in my head, I'm like literally saying to myself, I'm like, if you drop any kind of vocal of his voice or anything, I'm going to be very aggravated right now. It's going to destroy me. So don't do it.
But they didn't. They just used him.
Yeah, exactly. Which is fine.
Yeah.
But
so you give it an 8.
Yeah.
Anything else?
Yeah, I'll give it an 8. An 8 out of 10.
All right. For me, Mark, you're gonna be shocked. I you're gonna be hold on to your tits.
Hold on to your butts.
Hold on to your butts. I enjoyed the movie for what it was. I went for the ride. I really don't have any qualms. The things I brought up, I agree with you, but that part of me is just kind of whatever. I just enjoyed it for what it was. I enjoyed it. I don't know if it's a movie I'll revisit again because it was a little bit more heavier and it's on the longer side.
Yeah,
It could have been a little bit shorter.
could have been.
I gonna say I have to agree with you. I give it an 8 as well.
This wasn't the. There wasn't.
I give it an 8 as well. Not in spite of its flaws, but I almost felt like I miss Chadwick Boseman. I miss the fun of Black Panther 1. This was a different kind of movie. Going in, you got to know it's a little bit more darker, somber.
Yeah, it's more of a somber movie.
Grieving. And I want Black Panther 3 to bring us back.
Yeah.
To that.
Yeah. No, exactly. And a lot of like, and that's the other thing too. It seemed like the consequences weren't there for me. Like it wasn't like, I don't know. It didn't seem like there was a.
Yeah. Loosey goosey a little bit on the plot.
Yeah.
I didn't mind getting introduced to new characters. I didn't mind seeing some older characters and learning more about them.
Yeah.
I actually enjoyed all that stuff. I said this before, and I'll say it again. This to me felt like kind of like phase 3, phase 2 MCU. I like the seriousness. I like the small amount of humor.
Yeah.
I liked it all. But yeah, it wasn't like a 9 or a 10 for me because I think the subject matter was just kind of like we're all grieving together and we have to get through this together. So it's hard to be like, this is a 9 or a 10 for a movie. You're grieving for this actor and character. It's hard for me to even say a 9 or a 10.
No, exactly. Because it was basically, it was a love letter to Chadwick Boseman, mostly.
Yeah.
The movie, which is totally fine. But a movie like that, it's not like something I'm going to be like, man, I can't wait to rewatch that again and get sad.
Right. Totally. It's a one and done for me.
Think about like the death of a human, it's like,
yeah. It's a one and done. I will revisit maybe way in the future. Black Panther 1, I've seen numerous times, especially because it's on TV now.
Yeah.
But this one, it's just like a little bit harder to watch. I think over time it will be better, but right now it's just like I saw it, I want to sit in it.
Yeah.
I want to go on to Ant-Man. I'm excited for Ant-Man. So
Ant-Man seems like more of the adventure stuff that I like. I like it's like one of those things too where I think it was also the thing of real life creeping into fictional life.
Yeah.
Like you had to deal with that loss. You had to deal with that. And the way they did it was very well done.
Yeah.
Did a good job of it. But if you separate that part out of it, it really wasn't like as great of a Marvel movie as it could have been.
Yes, I agree with you. I agree with that statement.
Yeah.
I think if you were to minus the loss of Black Panther and you just gave us that plot,
if you go in as like they were just
subpar plot. Yeah.
If he had not passed in real life and he had just decided to not do the character anymore, that movie wouldn't have been made.
Well, the movie was written totally. They said originally this movie was going to be dealing with what happened after Endgame.
Yeah.
But because of his death, they had to rewrite the entire movie.
Exactly. Yeah. So yeah. So it's like a whole different movie was out there that we had to, maybe a what if of that.
Yeah.
Of what the movie would have been, the original movie. Because he's still around in the what if, so.
Right.
Because they do have the voice actor that plays him, so.
Well, he got to do the voice for the first season of What If. That was him.
Yeah, but they talked about getting somebody to do his voice.
Oh yeah, I mean for future episodes, totally.
Yeah.
But all right, well, that's we both give it an 8 for actually kind of different reasons.
Yeah.
But I mean, it was great to see with everybody. I mean, I know Ant-Man's coming out in February. This is gonna set off phase 5.
Yes.
And we're actually gonna see where we're gonna go, which is kind of like refreshing. And I'm excited that we're
gonna going by the trailers. Get ready to see Jonathan Majors in every movie ever.
Dude, he was in 3 trailers. He is exploding, this guy.
Your brother turns to me, he's like, is Kang in every movie now? I'm like, yes, every movie, Nick. Every movie's got Kang in it. He's in every. Marvel has taken over the whole universe.
Yeah.
Kang's just in every story.
Jonathan Majors is in a World War
II movie. I think it's more of a Korean War movie. But it seemed like it was around Korean War time because you had like MiG jets.
Oh,
they talked about Korea.
Then it's Korean War.
I think it's a Korean War movie, which is a random pull.
Then he was in another movie.
He's in the Creed 3.
Oh,
he's in Creed 3.
He's the bad guy.
He's the bad guy in that.
Yep.
He's the hero in the World War II Korean War movie.
Yeah.
Where he plays a fighter pilot.
And then he's the bad guy in it.
Then he's Kang in Marvel.
Yeah.
Which we saw every trailer for of all 3 of those.
And it's great because we saw Kang at the end of Loki, and this is going to be awesome. And
yeah, he looks more like the comic book.
Yes.
Kang in this one.
This is the kind of stuff I miss in this phase, is just seeing familiar faces. And this is why I really enjoyed Doctor Strange. I really enjoyed Love and Thunder, and I enjoyed Black Panther. Of seeing old characters I miss.
The other thing too is I think that unbeknownst to, they did know at the time, but I mean, how do you prepare yourself for the fact that that's going to happen? That you lost Iron Man because he was leaving this stories, Captain America because he was leaving, Black Widow, and then you had Black Panther. So it's like 4 main characters out of the Avengers that you just totally got rid of.
Well, Black Panther was not by their choice.
No, but I mean, they knew it was coming. So they knew it was going to happen by the time they were filming those movies. So it's like you had to deal with all those losses from the bigger story.
It's a tough one.
Yeah.
It's a tough one.
Yeah.
I would like to see Tony Stark AI come back for Ironheart somehow, some way.
Oh, Friday or whatever that one was.
Well, because she needs to make her own armor, because that armor stays in Wakanda as of now.
Well, I think she's gonna make more of the comic book look armor.
That's what I was thinking.
Which I think that'll be what Armor Wars, what she leads into Armor Wars, is she ends up making her own armor that looks more Iron Man-ish.
It would be cool that instead of Jarvis,
it's
Stark, and we get Tony's voice. That would be kind of cool.
That would be a oof.
I mean, he all he's doing is a voiceover, and he's playing an AI.
Yeah.
Imagine if Jarvis is Jarvis has heard his voice, so can emulate it and just does.
But Jarvis isn't around anymore. Now it's the other one, Friday, from the last movies. Well, because Jarvis became Vision.
Who's voicing Friday?
Some actress. It was a girl.
Well, Jennifer Connelly does the one for Spider-Man.
Yes, there's someone else that does it for Iron Man, I think.
Oh, well, I don't know. It'd be kind of cool to hear Tony Stark's voice for Ironheart. I don't know. That's just me.
I mean, it'd be cool to have some kind of throwback to him in there.
Yeah. Yeah.
I'm assuming they will be something.
Yeah. I mean, that'd be cool. I like that. Wouldn't you?
Yeah.
I don't want his character to come back because you're kind of taking away his death, but his AI voice would be awesome.
I mean, you do have the multiverse now, so there could be other Tony Starks out there.
Don't get into the Tom Cruise thing. Yeah.
Not Tom Cruise, but just Robert Downey Jr.
I don't know. It would take away
from... If it's Elizabeth Olsen is there's that was my thing about the Tom Cruise thing, is they established in that movie, Multiverse, that you are you across all universes. No one else is you.
Yeah.
Like you don't look like a different person in all the other universes. You're still you in
But
other
in
universes.
Loki, we learned that's very different.
Well, Loki is like the only thing that like threw that off. But that's like if you're like an alligator planet, you're a different person. Or if there's like a different like
Different Lokis.
different Lokis. But it was very little rare things. So
Yeah. Well, we know what's his name's going to be in Fantastic Four. So yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, it'd be pretty interesting.
Well, we don't know if he's gonna be Reed Richards though.
He's going to be Reed Richards.
That actually get announced officially yet?
It's not official, but his wife said some stuff during an interview.
Well, that doesn't mean anything.
But she knows. She knows things. It just hasn't been officially announced.
She knows.
She knows. All right, Mark. Well, we should wrap this up. We thank everybody for listening to our review. And
yes,
we'll be back next week with a normal show.
We will. We will.
And what's our tagline, Mark?
As always, be safe, be well, be kind.
And rewind.
Bye, everybody.